Gods are a common thing in Dungeons and Dragons. From Palor to Bane, it seems that each setting has its own fair share of divine powers. Then there's Razmir. Razmir is the Pathfinder god of law, luxury, obedience, and the nation of Razmiran. He's also a bold-faced liar. Hi, I make D&D videos for people like you. If you like what you see, please, drop a like, and subscribe if you want to see more. As I said, Razmir is as much a divine as that hobo down the street. You know, the one who claims to be Jesus. Currently, he is the undisputed ruler of Razmiran, a country that he simultaneously founded and named after himself, because being considered a living god wasn't enough. Unlike that hobo, however, Razmir is still the most powerful wizard of his time, a feat which really helps solidify the whole god thing. Now, because D&D is usually full of very real, very watchful gods, Razmir and his clerics are pretty much despised by every other religion, to the point where it's not uncommon for his priests to mysteriously vanish when on quote-unquote missionary duties outside of Razmiran. In fact, the only deities that tolerate him are the ones aligned with trickery and deception. They see Razmir, and they think, wow, this guy has some really heavy stones to pull a stunt like this. This has led to them sending numerous envoys his way, which to a guy trying to pass himself off as a legitimate god, is something of a massive headache. Because Razmir lacks any true divinity, his clerics are trained to be just as big a shyster as their patron. Just to clarify, these guys have no access to divine spells. So, to compensate, they've become experts at masking their arcane magic as divine spells. Through a combination of arcane trickery, folk remedies, and faux holy artifacts, they are able to pass off as legitimate clerics. Let's say one of them comes across a beggar, inflicted by some terrible disease. To cure them, a Razmiran cleric may produce a curative elixir that they claim is holy water, use an enchantment to convince the beggar they're cured, or, in some cases, the beggar is a planted agent pretending to be ill. For you see, all Razmiran clerics are, to varying extents, in on the scheme. The majority use their status to squeeze every penny out of anyone they meet, in the form of either forceful donations, or tithes taken through extortion. Razmir himself greatly encourages this practice, as it both helps assert the authority of his church, and because he gets a share of their loot. It's essentially the religious version of a pyramid scheme. Razmir, and by extension his highest-ranking clerics, openly flaunt lives more exuberant and hedonistic than an LA influencer. People see these clerics living in opulence, then join up thinking that they too can live a life of luxury. Rinse and repeat. If you wish to include Razmir and his clerics in your game, here's a few hooks that could get your party started. Clerics of Razmir frequently try and get people hooked on a substance known as the Tears of Razmir, a highly potent mix of narcotics and hallucinogenics. Maybe the party comes across a pair of them shaking down a group of addicts, maybe these charlatans even have a high-ranking official under their thumb, and are now using them to promote the church's agenda. Or, perhaps the party starts off in a town controlled by the church, in search of an NPC, a real cleric, that went missing there a few days ago. Maybe the local Razmiran priests know more than they're telling. Lastly, the church could even hire the party to retrieve an artifact or spell book, one they could use to further legitimize Razmir's claims of divinity. Really though, there's a lot of ways you could introduce a cult to a false god into your D&D games. I highly recommend GMs and players alike experiment with the idea. On the off chance you wish to play as a Razmiran cleric, I would recommend using the Divine Soul Sorcerer, or a wizard focused on either illusion or enchantment. If you really wish to play a cleric, I would recommend the Trickery domain. gods of trickery enjoy Razmir's antics, so it's not a stretch to have them grant the powers but give him the credit, much to his chagrin. But, that's all I have for now, so I'm going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and thanks for watching.